Meghan Markle might want to consider a new career path as a comedian, because every time she posts on Instagram, some critics say the content is so unintentionally funny that it makes them laugh out loud. According to this perspective, Meghan has struggled to establish a clear social media strategy since relaunching her Instagram account in 2025. Her content appears to move in different directions without a consistent message, creating a growing problem for both her personal brand and her lifestyle venture as ever. Critics argue that if her business is going to succeed, she needs to strengthen her messaging and ensure that her personal Instagram account effectively supports and promotes the brand. Instead, they believe the two are not working together in a meaningful way. Instagram remains Meghan's only active social media platform, despite the rapid growth of TikTok and the continued dominance of YouTube in online content creation. Many observers believe that modern social media revolves around video content, both short-form and long-form, yet Meghan appears reluctant to fully embrace that trend. While she occasionally posts videos, critics claim she lacks a natural understanding of today's social media landscape. They argue that this limitation is holding her back at a time when both her business ventures and media projects face increasing scrutiny and challenges. In Hollywood, a strong social media presence can significantly influence opportunities and public visibility. Some actors are even cast partly because of their online following. Because Meghan has made social media such a central part of her post-royal identity, critics believe it is essential for her to understand how Instagram can be used more effectively. They point to recent examples where content for as ever was created by outside influencers rather than Meghan herself. In their view, this approach adds unnecessary costs and misses the authenticity that audiences increasingly value. The rise of independent creators on platforms like YouTube and Instagram has changed the entertainment industry dramatically. Small teams, or even individuals working alone, can now produce highly successful content. Critics argue that Meghan could benefit from adopting a more hands-on approach instead of relying on larger production efforts for relatively simple social media posts. They claim that many influencers create engaging content using little more than a phone and tripod, while Meghan's content often appears overproduced yet lacks impact. Her latest Instagram post has also drawn criticism for featuring images that some viewers found confusing or disconnected from a broader brand identity. According to these observers, Meghan's biggest challenge is that both she and As Ever are struggling to define exactly what they represent. The company's identity appears closely tied to Meghan herself, making it difficult for the brand to stand on its own. Comparisons have been made to other celebrity lifestyle brands, such as Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, which, despite being associated with its founder, has developed a distinct identity independent of her personal image. Critics further note that As Ever appears to be undergoing operational changes. Reports suggest the company is no longer working with Snow Commerce and has transitioned to Shopify for its online retail operations. Some interpret this as evidence that Meghan is taking greater direct control over the business as it seeks a new direction. Whether these changes will strengthen the brand remains to be seen, but many believe that a clearer message, stronger identity, and more effective use of social media will be essential for its long-term success. According to the commentator, recent changes within As Ever suggest that Meghan Markle is attempting to reduce expenses and bring more of the company's operations in-house. The move away from Snow Commerce and toward Shopify is viewed as a sign that the business is not expanding as hoped, but instead trying to streamline costs and find new ways to generate revenue. Critics argue that despite various efforts, the brand has struggled to gain momentum, making Meghan's personal Instagram account one of the most important tools available for promoting both herself and her products. The commentator points to a recent Instagram post as an example of what they see as ineffective branding. One image, captioned "Springing into Summer," shows Meghan lying in the grass with As Ever products barely visible in the background. Critics argue that the photograph fails as an advertisement because the products are difficult to see and the overall message is unclear. They question what the image is meant to communicate and suggest that it does little to strengthen either Meghan's personal brand or the identity of As Ever. A larger criticism centers on Meghan's approach to Instagram itself. While she has described the account as a personal space, critics argue that public figures do not truly have personal public-facing social media accounts. Instead, they view Instagram as an extension of public relations and brand management. In their view, successful celebrities treat their social media presence as part of a larger strategy that aligns with their public image and business goals. Meghan, they argue, seems caught between presenting her account as personal and using it as a promotional tool, creating confusion about its purpose. The post also included a variety of personal images, including bird eggs in a nest, a photograph of Prince Harry and Archie playing with a large inflatable soccer ball, and several lifestyle shots. While some viewers may see these images as glimpses into family life, critics argue that they lack a clear connection to her broader brand message. They contend that the collection of photos feels random rather than carefully curated to support a specific identity or business objective. Particular attention was given to a cooking-related video in which Meghan is shown chopping onions and preparing food. Critics argued that because As Ever is positioned around hospitality, food, and entertaining, content like this should reinforce her authority in those areas. Instead, they claim the video does not effectively demonstrate cooking expertise or showcase As Ever products in use. The commentator argues that if Meghan is selling food and kitchen-related products, consumers should see those products integrated naturally into her content and should come away with confidence in her skills and knowledge. The discussion also raises a broader point about authenticity and expertise. The commentator suggests that audiences connect more easily with creators who either demonstrate genuine competence or openly acknowledge that they are learning. As an example, they mention the idea of someone experimenting with recipes from a century-old cookbook, where the entertainment value comes from the challenge and the honesty of the experience. In contrast, they argue that Meghan's content falls somewhere in between, neither establishing expertise nor embracing the role of a beginner, making it difficult for viewers to connect with the message. Ultimately, the criticism centers on what the commentator sees as a lack of authority and consistency. Because Meghan herself is so closely tied to the As Ever brand, every piece of content on her social media contributes to public perceptions of the company. Critics argue that if she wants consumers to purchase food, lifestyle, and hospitality products, her content must consistently reinforce her credibility in those areas. Without a stronger and more focused identity, they believe both her personal brand and As Ever will continue to face challenges in attracting long-term consumer interest. The commentator continues by criticizing several other images included in Meghan Markle's Instagram post, arguing that they add to what they see as a confusing and inconsistent brand message. One photograph showed Princess Lilibet wearing a shirt that referenced Beyoncé. The commentator questioned the decision to share the image publicly, suggesting that children should be presented in the most flattering way possible on social media. They argued that once photos are posted online, they become part of a permanent public record, making careful presentation especially important for public figures and their families. Another image featured a basket of fruit that was supposedly picked from Meghan's garden. Critics questioned both the timing and the purpose of the photograph, arguing that it appeared heavily staged rather than authentic. To them, the image felt more like a carefully arranged lifestyle display than a genuine snapshot of everyday life. The commentator repeatedly returns to the same concern throughout the discussion. They do not understand what message the photographs are meant to communicate or how they support Meghan's broader personal brand and business goals. The post also included pictures of the family's beagle, scenes from the garden, and newly hatched birds. While some of these images could have fit a seasonal or lifestyle theme, critics argued that the overall collection lacked focus and cohesion. Instead of telling a clear story, they felt the post jumped between unrelated subjects without establishing a recognizable identity or purpose. Particular attention was given to an older photograph of Meghan and Prince Harry that appeared to have been taken years earlier. The commentator questioned why an image from nearly a decade ago was included in a post celebrating the transition from spring to summer. They suggested that using such an old photograph felt out of place and further contributed to the sense that the content lacked a consistent direction. The fact that the image appeared to be a screenshot rather than the original photo was also highlighted as evidence of what they viewed as poor presentation. Throughout the discussion, the commentator argues that Meghan's Instagram content often appears unfocused because it mixes personal moments, promotional material, family photographs, lifestyle imagery, and brand-related content without a clear strategy connecting them together. While they acknowledge that certain posts, such as holiday photos or content related to her Netflix series, make sense within the context of her public profile, they believe much of the rest feels random and disconnected. Looking back at Meghan's Instagram activity since relaunching the account, the commentator claims that there has been a noticeable shift away from the more direct branding efforts that initially accompanied the launch of As Ever. Early posts frequently reference the brand, but later content appears less connected to the products and business itself. They argue that this inconsistency makes it difficult for followers to understand what Meghan wants her public profile to represent. Ultimately, the commentators' criticism is not focused on any single photograph, but rather on what they see as a larger issue of identity and messaging. In their view, Meghan's Instagram account lacks a clear purpose, alternating between personal updates, family moments, lifestyle imagery, and business promotion without successfully tying them together. As a result, they believe the account fails to strengthen either her personal brand or the as-ever business in a meaningful way. As the discussion continues, the commentator reviews the overall evolution of Meghan Markle's Instagram account and argues that its direction has become increasingly inconsistent over time. They note that the account initially appeared closely connected to the launch and promotion of As Ever, with branding references appearing regularly in captions and posts. However, according to the commentator, those connections gradually faded, leaving behind a mixture of unrelated content that no longer clearly supports the business or communicates a consistent brand identity. The commentator points to several examples from Meghan's posting history, including content related to the Invictus Games, lifestyle updates, personal photographs, promotional material, and family moments. While there is nothing inherently wrong with sharing a variety of content on social media, they argue that the situation is different for a public figure whose personal image is closely tied to a commercial venture. In their view, Meghan's Instagram should function as an extension of her business strategy, helping reinforce the message and values of As Ever. Instead, they believe followers are presented with a collection of posts that often feel disconnected from one another. Despite these criticisms, the commentator acknowledges that Meghan's account continues to attract attention and has steadily grown toward nearly 4.7 million followers. However, they question whether that audience is translating into meaningful engagement or business success. As an example, they discuss a recent collaboration involving influencer Olivia McDowell, noting that while the partnership generated some additional followers, the growth was relatively modest given the size of Meghan's platform. To them, this suggests that Meghan's online influence may not be converting into the level of engagement or consumer interest that one might expect from an account of that scale. The commentator also revisits Meghan's attempts at creating video content, arguing that many of the videos feel awkward, unclear, or disconnected from a larger strategy. They suggest that modern social media increasingly rewards authentic, engaging video content, yet Meghan's efforts often come across as staged or confusing. Rather than building a recognizable online presence, the commentator believes the content contributes to an ongoing lack of clarity about what Meghan's brand is supposed to represent. Toward the end of the video, the focus shifts away from Meghan and onto the commentator's own plans for social media. Inspired in part by the discussion about Instagram strategy, they announced the launch of a new account called Royally Britney. The purpose of the account will be to provide a more personal, behind-the-scenes look at royal reporting and travel experiences. While the main Royal News Network platform will continue focusing on commentary and analysis, the new account is intended to showcase the day-to-day realities of covering royal events, including travel, event preparation, and life on the ground during major royal occasions. The commentator explains that they have considered launching such an account for quite some time and ultimately chose a name that maintains a connection to the Royal News Network brand. The content will include updates from upcoming trips, coverage of royal engagements, and behind-the-scenes footage from events such as Trooping the Colour in London. For security reasons, some content may be posted with a slight delay, while channel members will receive access to certain updates earlier. In closing, the commentator invites viewers to follow the new Instagram account and join them as they document the process of covering royal events firsthand. They express excitement about the upcoming travel schedule and promise additional content from London and other locations. The video concludes with thanks to the audience for their support and a promise of more royal coverage in the near future.